Well, yeah, if you need a really flexible content management system for your website, then yeah, go to Mala. If you need work done fast and well, go to Mala.
And I'm still in touch with him. I think he's, he gets he gets what it is that we want to do. It's not just give me the requirements. Um, we'll build what it is that you want. It's also trying to brainstorm with us, think through what it is that we're trying to achieve, understand the goals, and then offer creative suggestions. So I really feel like I had a partner.
Hey, so welcome to entry number 2 in the progress on uplifting the Mala website. I think I'm doing more than just uplifting the website in my current process. I'm also trying to improve the business plan and just generally sort of holistically strengthen our marketing and sales presence. I might go into that a little bit more further down the track. But for now, let's look at some of the progress that we've made in the site. So I am going to roughly run through these topics. So recapping on the last video, I really pointed out sort of some of the problems that we're coming across. Those problems generally came down to our sort of weak SEO, came down to some technical difficulties that we were encountering, like just missing features in the website. And then, yeah, there's a whole lot of other stuff. If you're interested, go back and watch that one. We have made a lot of progress since then, which is great to see. I'd love to hear the opinions of other agency owners, but Q4 of last year was quite slow, especially sort of December. I think that's not too crazy. Like, a lot of people are probably thinking about wrapping up initiatives rather than starting new initiatives, but it was quite slow. But then moving into Q1 now, we're starting to see a lot of traffic. We're starting to, like, actual like site traffic, but we're also starting to get a lot more leads, which is great. The sources of the leads is still a bit of a mixed bag. Like, what I'm really trying to push on here in this sort of topic is pushing on organic inbound SEO from like blog content, from website content, that sort of thing. But we're still sort of seeing good traffic come in from review sites like Clutch, from partner agencies, that sort of stuff. So one of the big things that we did just sort of finishing up last year was I engaged with a copy and content specialist. Shout out to Kerry. What is your website? It is God Save the SERP. So shout out to Kerry. Kerry is from Belfast, living in Barcelona, and she's a traffic, content, and just sort of copywriting magician. So we started working together, and I asked. So I set down a whole heap of goals. You know what we've already spoken about. It's the purpose is to communicate better with customers, describe what we do better, engage people. So it wasn't just blog content that we were focused on. It was also website content, because in the last video I mentioned, like our header on the website didn't make a huge amount of sense. Now we have a snappy new one. You don't want a website. I don't want a website? What? I'm here for a website. So we got a whole heap of stuff. So that cool little reminder is from you don't want a website. So Kerry's thoughts on that is that when you do something like a pattern interrupt, it makes people see something negative, and it stops them, makes them think. This is like the first draft of the copy that we're working on, but the draft before that. So when we spoke, let's see, does it actually say what the problems that I wanted to attack are? Boop, 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 boop. Okay, so you can't create new copy. You can't, actually, just to stop people getting distracted, you can't create new copy. You can't get closer to your customers. You can't market unless you know who are you talking to. So finding your niche and trying to understand the problems your niche is experiencing is super important. So for the last 2 years or so, a huge part of the business model has been working with other agencies. So we call that sort of targeting the fishermen rather than the fish, because it is hard when you're starting a business, or starting a new business model, which is what we're doing. It's hard to go directly to consumer or to customer because you don't have the infrastructure, you don't have the confidence, you don't have the reputation yet, you don't have that sort of stuff. So what we wound up doing instead was working with a lot of partners. So the niche. So when we were going originally just to other agencies, the niche was just other agencies, and it was sort of up to, we got a mixed bag of different customers coming in. We still get somewhat of a mixed bag, but we are trying to focus in on niches that we know we can do a lot of good for. And one of the big niches that we want to focus in on is B2B SaaS is one of the big ones that we want to focus in on because we feel we can do an awful lot for them. But like essentially marketing websites are our niche. Marketing websites focused on creating conversions, and focused on sort of describing a product, describing a service, marketing it through content and creating sort of funnels that make it easy to understand what you're doing, nurture leads, and then actually get them to turn into market qualified leads or sales qualified leads. So that is our niche. And the first part of this like brand cookbook, the brand cookbook essentially is if you want to create copy, if you want to create content, you sort of need to know who is your niche. And you need to know their struggles, and you need to know your tone of voice, you need to know all that sort of stuff if you want to start creating content. And this cookbook essentially is sort of our like brand Bible when it comes to content and copywriting. So it sort of describes here, so if I'm a new copywriter joining the team, I come here and I'd be able to understand, who is the core audience, head of marketings, B2B, SaaS, real estate, that sort of thing. Additional people that might be involved in the buying process, CTO, CEO, or founder. What are their pain points? What are their limitations? That sort of stuff. This is super valuable because it gives you stuff to begin sort of the thinking process for creating the content for your site, for creating sort of just like landing pages and even structuring your service. I'm going to get my big face out of the way here so you can see the rest of the table of contents here. But it goes through what are their desires, what are they, what are our goals, what are the customer's goals as well. And then there's some really cool stuff around testimonials and stuff, which is super handy to be able to pull out if you're creating like a landing page or creating an outbound email, that sort of thing. Having this for content people to drag from is a really great thing to have. So that was the first thing we did, and a big part of that was customer interviews, so speaking to actual customers of ours. So that's where all these testimonials come from, but speaking to the team as well, speaking to my own team, speaking to people we work with. That is where we sort of started from the brand cookbook. And it already has been super useful because we're doing outbound emails. We're going to start doing like blog posts and copywriting, and it just gives everyone like a shared resource that they can sort of say like, what way does Mala talk? What have past clients said? What are their struggles? What do we start to like focus the content creation around? So that brings us to copywriting, which I sort of jumped a tiny bit ahead with showing you this page. But copywriting essentially now pulls from that brand cookbook, but starts to describe what is it that we do. Here you can see sort of like what the nav bar might look like, and you can see over here like roughly the table of contents of what we do. So there's a lot here. And there's a lot of like deep thinking coming in here from Kerry as well on what way to describe our service, how to get people to stop and actually read it, prove our value, describe the actual like individual services that we have. There's a lot in there. It's already starting to be reflected on the site. Now, we haven't done any development work on this yet, so it's really just pulling over what we can and what fits into the current format. But I think it already describes what we do a little bit better. It describes who you are, what are your problem points. Here are some of our services. testimonials. Like there's some really good feedback on testimonials, trying to break them up into individuals per page rather than into sliders of testimonials. So that is what we've done so far from a content brand cookbook and copywriting. The other big thing that we are doing is around SEO. And what is your website, Luke? Right Fits. So my good friend Luke here. Is it going to be a lovely picture of you? Here it is. Luke is great. He's great. What a lovely man. Luke is helping us figure out what... Oh, feck. Hang on. I'm going to need to pause and find this document. Okay, we are back. So, Luke and myself started to look at our traffic. We started to look at some of the research that Kerry and Natalie had already done around the target market, around the ICP, and around sort of their problems. And we started to try to figure out, like, when people are searching for these problems, what are the, like, keyword topics or pillars that they start to think around. And then we, from that, started to pull out sub topics or sub keywords. So there's a concept of like topic and cluster. So you can see, let me see, here's the keyword and here's a whole heap of clustery stuff around those keywords. This isn't particularly meant for human consumption. But from there, you get titles for potential content written around those keywords and topics. Let me see if I can get something a little bit better here. SaaS SEO services, that might be better. Nope. SaaS web development. Sure. Yeah, that's not too bad. So if I was a marketer looking for SaaS web development, you can see the volume of searches, which is super low, so that makes that a bad search. Hold on, let's go back. Web development, maybe. Voila. Okay, great. What you want to look at when you're looking for keywords is both the volume, the competitiveness of that keyword. So how many other people are ranking for that sort of keyword? What's the intent that goes along with it? This one's a little bit funny because there's multiple intents, and the tools that you use for gathering these keywords don't always figure the intent out correctly. So what Luke is doing here is pulling out like an importance index, which is using some, I don't think it shows you the formula here, but there's some magic that shows you volume, competitiveness, cost per click is another really good indicator, and then just sort of says, like, should you be interested in this or not? So you can see web developer, we want to bid for that. We probably won't win on those sort of things because they're super vague. But if you pick web developer as a keyword, you can then go into clusters below it. So that's one of the places that we started for SEO. And we wound up pulling out topics. So web development being the topic, some of the keywords below it. You can then go into web development companies, keywords below it. And then we went and pulled that all into SEMrush. So that was a good and a bad day. Good in that we now have loads of keywords in here. Bad in that our visibility dropped significantly. Let's see if it actually shows us that. It probably won't because it's now tracking visibility against stuff that actually matters. You can see I've got some other people in a similar niche here, so I can sort of track how we compare. Some other very lovely websites. No, so it's not going to show me what it was previously, but our visibility was high because we were tracking against wrong keywords that nobody was searching for. So it doesn't really matter if we have high visibility. It doesn't actually equate to people getting to the site. But at least now we are measuring against stuff that we care about. So as we start to create content, create backlinks, upgrade our copy, get more traffic, become a little bit more authoritative in the domain, we'll start to see this visibility rise. You can see that we are in 1 to 3 for some keywords, but those keywords I think have low volume, like Jamstack website, B2B SaaS. Yay, we're number 1, but it has less than 1% visibility. Woo! One cool thing here that we've started to see over time, let's see if I can just jump back to our site. And this was one of the things that was nice to see in the last video, was that yes, we goosed the SaaS, this SEO over the last year or so, but we're starting to see it come roaring back, which is just super. Because there's nothing worse than going into one of these consoles and seeing dips like this. Like, that was just tragic. But you can see over the last 16 months, like, we had a pretty good average of 200 to 300, never really sort of topping 4. Oh, we got 4 there for a few days. But you can see now we're starting to rise up, and it looks like we're averaging out now at sort of the 500 to peaking 600 range, which is great. And the clicks looks a little weird in anywhere here, but you can see it's up and down. It's pretty good though. Analytics are sort of never the most appealing to look at, but let's see if we can hop. I'm not going to go to today because we're not going to have any traffic today yet. Hey, stuff is happening. We're getting some direct traffic, some referral traffic, some search traffic. It's still not enormous, because we still are, like, we're appearing and we're getting impressions, but we're not yet at the point where we're in the like top 5 for a lot of them. So we're on the page. We just need to rise up a little bit more before we start to see the actual on-site traffic improve. But progress is being made. So, brand, copywriting, SEO. What is next for the site, or what are we thinking about next? So, there's a heap of things in no particular order here that I'm starting to think about. One of the ones is that I want to have in our CMS a lot more content types that are specific to the niche of agency websites. So if you jump to our website CMS right now, you'll see that it's mainly just pages, nav, footer, that sort of stuff, but it's not laid out in terms of projects, case studies, services, FAQs, or anything that's like a structured content piece that we could pull to a higher level and reuse across the site. Even when it comes to our blogs, resources, white papers, those aren't yet available in the version of the CMS that we are using. Now, we do have that in many of our newer sites, and we do have it in our demo site that anyone can go and play around with. Like if you go to Knowledge Hub, Knowledge Hub is probably the best one, you can see that we now have all those different content types, which makes it easy to know where to put something when you're building it. And it's also structured in a way that makes it easy to fill in the right fields. So pulling a lot of this stuff over is going to make our life a whole heap easier once we get there. You can see 2 client examples. Here's a marketing site based around people, offices, jobs, and then here's a law firm, so it's based around attorneys, staff members and stuff, but it just makes it a little bit clearer where you put what. I want to go deeper on HubSpot and forms. Like right now, our site actually is starting to get into a pretty good place when it comes to forms. So to create a form, I just have to go in here, I click new, and then I just throw in the ID of a HubSpot form. And then we have this sort of UI, and we can style it whatever way we want. I haven't gone super deep on our site on it just yet. But it means that you're able to create like a contact us, you can create different forms for different use cases, you can create lead magnets like ebooks, or just for contacts, which is really handy. I think there's more that we can do there. So right now our site is directly connecting to HubSpot. I'd love to put that through some third-party marketing tech like make.com or something, so we could add like lead enrichment. So we can send the source to maybe our Slack and to HubSpot. and just to do sort of cooler stuff like that, because then that means that like from a no code point of view, you're able to add a lot more to just like a simple lead. You could add more, like right now if somebody signs up for Contact Us, they would get a response email, which is cool, but we could probably make that even richer if we could get some personalization about them. Boo, boo, boo. We are going to do design sprints to think a little bit more about the structure of our site, to think about some of the visual elements of it as well. I think the nav bar, for example, could do with a lot of love. As I said, we're on an older version of the CMS, so I want to bring that up to the newest version, which is going to mean that we'll get a lot more speed. We'll be able to stick with new features that we roll out to the engine as well. Our content right now, this is both a technical thing and just for copywriting in general. We don't have as much content split across the funnel as I'd like, and we don't have any way to visualize it in the CMS just yet. So I would love, as we write a new blog, to be able to tag it as like top of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, so somebody coming in would know what campaign or what type of user the content is aimed at. Obvious stuff around blogs, being able to search, categorize, all that stuff. Yeah, and there's a whole heap of other stuff that we want to do here. This sitemap page is actually a really good one that Luke mentioned. To have a page that is just links to all the pages. So like right now we only have like our sitemap XML. So just having a page that was like sitemap and was just a load of pages, it just makes it easier for crawlers and stuff to wander around. Or even for us when we lose track of a page and don't know how to navigate to it. And then just having better control of the H elements of this site. So those are a whole heap of the features we want to do. One cool feature that I wanted to just give a little highlight to. Oh, there's two. Hold on, I'll be back to you in 1 second. I wanted to show you another feature, but it actually has loads of client info in it and I can't get it out. So let's just look at the other feature. So big one that I've used to get us back into good shape visually has been, and like visually on the site and also from like just site structure, has been presets. So presets is a thing that we use to let you set up a module in a particular way and then reuse it across the site. So let's see, what's one that I've been using a lot. Almost all of our pages were missing some call to action at the end. So like book a marketing success workshop or sign up for our newsletter. We were missing that on so many sites. So I just built one preset and it meant, that's just a screenshot that I messed up. It meant that we are able to now go across all the pages and just drop the preset in and then it's just done, which is so handy. And you can even preview what that fella looks like. So it'll look a little bit better than that screenshot. Boom. So what does that look like in reality? So one silly thing that we had done was loads of our blog posts did not have links to other blog posts. So the blog posts were pretty much just black holes of content. So I was able to go in to pretty much every blog post and drop in a feed of you might also like, which is some other blog posts, a form to sign up for the newsletter, and then also if you don't want the newsletter, maybe you want a marketing conversation. Scrolling. Here's the preset for the you might also like, then your newsletter, and then success plan. So like if I wanted to do that again, I'd just go modules. Do I want to build one from scratch? No, I don't have time. But I would like to pull out one that's already configured, that's someone who knows more than me configured, or someone who had more time than me, and I'd just be able to drop into the page. So for example, I want to drop in like an example of some of our work, and that's going to go down the bottom, and there you go, slider of some of our work. But I actually don't want that, so I'm just going to remove it, and you get to see it all happen in near real time. Okay, so that's roughly where we are right now. So the next pieces that I want to do going onwards is going to be bringing us back up to speed with the engine, starting to create we're working on content for a whole heap of other pages. So I think 5 to 7 pillar pages. And then we're also looking at ongoing content creation. Just on the topic of content creation, before I leave you, when you look at our Google Search Console stuff over the last 12 months, and then look at queries, so queries by impression, we're getting some good queries for like agency, Jamstack, that sort of stuff. But when you look at where is our traffic going to, or coming from and going to, a lot of it's starting to go to the blog. So one important thing about thinking about blog content is that it takes a whole heap of time before you start actually getting any traffic for this. And that also you need backlinks. You need it to be posted to other places, either organically by people saying like, hey, this is a really interesting blog post and I'm going to reference it, or you can do some evil shit and repost it all over the internet. That's up to you. I wouldn't, but the blog posts are contributing in a big way to the number of impressions we're getting. We would have written these blog posts in June, July, that sort of time. So it takes a few months for it to start paying off. So if you are kicking off a content creation campaign, it's a slow burn. Yeah, so that's some of the stuff that we're going to be doing, focusing on content, upgrading some of the visuals of the site and some of the technology. So leaning into the work that we have put down now as a foundation. So if you look at our normal process, we're sort of like, we'd normally go through discovery, which is somewhat of what we've done here. We don't always follow it 100% when it's our own projects, but we've done a lot of the design stuff, but we want to do more on the visual. But some of the customer interviews and stuff is done. Positioning, I think we really know where we stand now. We've done our SEO, content, copywriting's on. It's in progress. Conversion rate optimization is something I also want to invest in. We haven't yet, but we should. And then designing it visually is one of the things we're going to need to start doing next. We've got our SEO strategy. We don't have a content calendar yet, but we need to do that. And then we need the content creation kicked off. And then we would go into development, and if we were doing it from absolute zero, we'd do all of this stuff, but we don't need to worry about that too much for now. So that's where we are in the overall journey of it. I hope this is interesting. I hope it is valuable for anyone else trying to build up their site. Yeah. Best of luck. I do not know if we have comments, but if it's on social media or anything like that, let me know what you think. Have a great day.